Questions for Jordan?
Just what was your reaction when Cody hit that shot?
This is a great birthday present. I was just so happy. We got out of there with a win against a tough team. But at the same time, when he hit the shot, I knew there was 4 seconds left, so I knew we still had, to stay locked in because they could hit a shot right back.
You guys made it a lot of games that were kind of decided before you got to the end. How important do you think it was just to go through an experience like that and have to execute with the game on the line in the last few seconds, just so you have that in the bank heading forward?
Right. I mean, especially with an experienced team, I think we've all been there before, too, in situations like that. So I feel like that's also added experience now that that's happened now. But I feel like, going into that situation, it helped that we'd been there before. So it wasn't like we were rattled in the sense we knew we still had a chance. We knew we were still in a good position. We were only down 2.
What have you learned about the whole target on the back thing throughout this season? I mean, I think you guys sent out a tweet today about how the home crowds are so much bigger when you're on the road. Does it feel different going into venues now than even last year when you guys were ranked but not ranked as high?
Yeah, even last year when we were ranked high 20s, but like this year it's completely different. The atmosphere in the whole is just different. It's more people in the crowd. The teams are even more amped up to play you, so it's just you have to be locked in at all times.
Do they play differently? I mean, do you feel like you're getting a different level of competition than what you're seeing on film leading into the game?
Yeah, even if it's a talented team, it's still players who don't necessarily make certain type of shots that make shots against us. So it's just something you got to be prepared for, and it's going to happen. Players are going to rise to the occasion just like we wouldn't since if we were in that situation. So it's just something you have to be prepared for.
Air Force next, and it looks like they played really well a couple times. I mean, obviously put up 100 against UNLV, I think, last night. What kind of stands out about them? They always seem like a different team than most in the Mountain West.
I mean, I think that's because, how their tempo is usually slower, but they play the Princeton offense, which has a lot of movement, and, it's difficult to guard, so I think that's why they're so different than most Mountain West teams. And they're also a really disciplined team as well.
You think it's important to be playing in tight games where you got to be executing down the stretch as opposed to being able to sit on the bench for the last few minutes?
Yeah, I've been doing that for like 4 years, so I've got enough experience. So it'd be nice to get some space, but just being in that situation, it doesn't really rattle you at this point. So it's always it is what it is.
Are there any concerns though with the way that some teams have kind of kept it close here and there?
I wouldn't say any concerns. I mean, I think Boise played a great game. They're a really talented team, and they're hot going into that game. So we knew going into it was going to be a tough one, and we came out with the W.
Yeah, if that shot doesn't go in by Cody, I know I'm living in what-if land right now. With those last 5 minutes look kind of rough if that shot doesn't go in. What do you take from that execution at the end there?
Just especially from Cody just hitting such a big shot. He's been struggling from 3. I think it shows just his confidence and our confidence in him too, just to step up and make that shot. I think it shows a lot about our team and how close we are.
Could you take us into the huddle? What play was drawn up? Jazz was moving, you were moving, even Caleb was moving around. What was the play? Was it to Cody or?
We had a couple, but I actually messed up the play. I went to the wrong spot, so I kind of just went to go set a delayed drag screen because I went to the wrong spot.
He did go to the wrong spot.
Coach never really calls timeouts in those situations. I mean, how do you think that's a benefit to you so the defense doesn't have a chance to set up and figure out what you guys are trying to do and draw something up?
Personally, I like that because I like just getting into the flow. I feel like in moments like that, it's hard for a defense to get back and anticipate what's going to go on because at that point it's kind of like whatever happens. So it's like when there's a timeout, you can usually set up something to try to combat that and think of what could they run and who could they run to.
Coach is bearing down on his 100th win at Nevada. Why do you feel like he was the right coach at the right time for this program when he was hired?
He was a visionary and electrifying coach who had a huge goal in mind. It sounded crazy at the time, but fast forward all these years and we're in a great position. So I think that's really why.
Seems like he's kind of built the program with guys with chips on his shoulders from other schools. I guess what was your biggest chip, and did you kind of relate to that mentality that he's kind of built this program with?
Me personally, I was never really recruited. I was always overlooked. You know what I'm saying? I never had the chance really to show what I can do. So that was really the biggest thing, just to have that opportunity.
What do you think about what Corey's brought to the starting lineup?
He's actually a really talented shooter. He's a really good shooter. I think he's a good floor spacer, and he's great at taking care of the ball and as well as getting other people involved. I think that helps a lot. And also, I think he's a lot better defender than people give him credit for.
You anxious for some home cooking after what probably is going to be your toughest road trip the rest of the way, at least until we get to March?
Yeah, it's great to be back. It was a tough road trip. We played 2 really talented teams on the road, so it's great to be back now.
like everyone else, Boise threw, you know, a zone look at you. And was there anything they did particularly well, or was that a different look for you, or are you guys just so used to seeing it at this point that you overcome?
Not necessarily. I mean, especially with Boise, I feel like for the last couple of years they've been playing zone. We played them. I know they did last year too. Especially, I remember at home they ran zone, so it wasn't anything too unfamiliar.
What do you expect out of Air Force on Saturday?
You know, it's a really disciplined team that's great with their cuts, and they're going to run their stuff. So we just really have to be prepared for that and play disciplined defense.
Coach talked a couple weeks ago about your recruiting visit here, and you guys went straight to barbecue place and you ate like 50 wings. What do you remember most about, I guess, that trip and just your whole visit here that made you feel comfortable with that? Nevada was the place for you? Just like the family atmosphere and how the coaching staff at the time was just, they were really all bought into the goal, you know, of turning this thing around. That was really something that left an impact on me. Did you really eat 50 chicken wings, or was he exaggerating? He said you guys went to Famous Dave's. No, I probably ate like 40, honestly. Like, I ate a bunch. Your normal intake on a wing day? I mean, I hadn't eaten at all that day, so I was like, it's free food. Like, I'm gonna eat as much as I can. So that's what. Are you a ranch or blue cheese guy? Neither. Okay. Yeah, neither. Fair, okay. Yeah. I respect that. Now you're on pace to be in the top 5 in program history in points and rebounds if you continue this. I guess, what has this chapter of your life meant to you, just being at Nevada and being able to leave your imprint at a school and, you know, go in the Hall of Fame here one day and help turn this thing around? It's meant the world to me. You know, it's been a great opportunity for me, like, especially in life, just meeting new people and making new bonds, especially along with the basketball experience. So it's been great. I love it. I'm gonna miss it when I leave. So it's just great to be among a company like that and just to be in like such a rare spot.
Any more questions for Jordan?
I got one quick one if you don't mind. I was going to cook something up on Armand. I'm just curious what he's brought to you guys, obviously on the sideline and in practice. He's a very involved guy.
Yeah, he brings a lot. He's a youthful guy, so, you know, he still has like a lot of experience in playing, so that he's really great at that, and he's great at giving you like little reads to help you get better in your game. And, you know, he's someone you can talk to because he's been there. He's been to the place we're all trying to go, so it's great having him around.
Great spirit too. He kind of always has had that. Does that just kind of rub off on you guys? I know he doesn't travel, but, you know, in practice and on the sideline.
Yeah, he's got a very vibrant personality. You know, he's always upbeat, so that it just makes you want to be upbeat too.
Thanks, Jordan.
Jordan said he learned all that from me.
Do you know who that guy is?
Questions for Coach?
Coach, if that Boise game had been in the NCAA tournament, would you have called timeout in that final possession?
Probably not. I wasn't really listening when Jordan was talking, but Boise called the timeout. I don't know what it was. I'm not good with clock management. Maybe it was 50 seconds or 40-some seconds. And so I told the team, you know, if they're in a zone, we're running quick 4. If they're in man, we're running fist out, snake, red. And everybody remembered except for JC. And JC turned it into a double drag. Jazz was doing what he was supposed to do, but there was no one there to screen for him. But I did talk about wanting to go for a 3 to win it, and I felt like we were on the road. I felt like they had a little bit of momentum, and I just have confidence in our 3-point shooting and told them, you know, that it is 2-point difference, but if you get a look at a 3 and you like it, you know, let it fly, and if not, you know, take the best available shot.
With that said, those final few minutes, are there any concerns that you come out of that game with, letting them get?
No, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think out of 80 minutes we were winning roughly 70 minutes. If I had to guess, if you're go on the road and you can win 70 out of 80, and you know, like it's always something. Like, all right, now we've solved our bad starts. Now it's all right. Boise made a run at the end of the game, so not really. I mean, we were in foul trouble. I thought Caleb came into the game after having sat, and he, you know, tried to put some daggers and they didn't go down, and so it allowed Boise to go on a little bit of a run. But if he makes one of those ball games over, but he didn't, and Jordan had an opportunity to get a big-time defensive rebound, and there was a lot of people around him, and the ball slithered out of his hand to give them another opportunity on a BOB. But having said that, I mean, there's, you look across the board, and there's a lot of college basketball games that are really, really close, and our conference, is wild. I mean, there's a lot of schizophrenia going on with teams in our league. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and even last night, like every night something's going on that you can't predict, and it's a lot of conference play all over the country in every sport where those type things happen when you get to conference play.
It does seem like it's a little bit more dramatic this year. You look at New Mexico, has a great game against you and then loses 3 in a row. Why do you think the league has been maybe a little bit harder to figure out or predict so far in the early going?
I mean, we're playing these teams now, and I'm like, like we got teams that we've already played that I know are better than Pac-12 teams, and I can't explain why our league didn't do better in non-conference. I'm a little shocked, having played the teams, but I mean, I do think that what nobody can really feel or experience is, unless you're on the road with us, and unless you're in those arenas or watching film and seeing what they look like when we're not there, reading even the Boise beat writer's comments the other day said when Alston made that dunk, it was as loud as he's ever heard that building. I mean, and I'm thinking like, wow, like they've been playing for conference championships, and our game last year there was really meaningful, and it was a late game. It wasn't early in the conference like we are right now, and so I just think that when we go in these environments, at least when I'm talking about our own team, it's really hard. I mean, there's a lot of pressure being a top 10 team. There's a lot of pressure playing on the road. When an opposing team makes a run, there's a lot of pressure. But we've done a great job. I mean, we had one bad game that we stunk, and we'd love to get back. And like I stated, we lost. We got beat by a better team on that night, but we were also injured and we were also sick. And so, we'll hopefully the remainder of the year we'll remain healthy and won't be, in the condition we were in that game.
Going on the road and getting the best from the opponent has to help you come March, because everyone's going to raise their level of play in the NCAA tournament. But it seems like you're facing teams that are raising their level of play every time you play them. Do you feel like that's beneficial when you get to the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I can pretty much guarantee you that almost every game when we go back in the coach's locker room, whoever coach had that scout will always say, "That's the best they've ever played." I'm like, really? I mean, I've now heard that like 17 times this year. So, but I do think we're getting teams A games. I don't think that we've really gotten, anybody's B or C game. But yeah, I think it'll help us. I really do. I mean, I think that the microscope that we've played under this year is drastically different than in our first 3 years.
You mentioned the foul trouble, and it's interesting. It's usually the other guys this season that have had the trouble and not you. Are you encouraged that you guys were able to figure that puzzle out? I mean, it was kind of a dance there of keeping everything sane, and no one fouled out. That has to be encouraging for you.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't think there's been many people fouled out since I've been here in 4 years. I don't know the number. I'd be shocked if it's more than 3 guys have fouled out, because we usually do a pretty good job of protecting guys and getting them out. And we felt as long as that game was we were in the +3, that I wasn't going to put Caleb back in. I think I put him back in actually earlier than I normally would. We were +6 when he went back in. But yeah, I mean, staying out of foul trouble is important. I think Corey Henson carving out a niche to have a role and to get minutes really helped in that particular situation. It wasn't like we had to rely on him as a last resort. He had already felt comfortable. He's now been a starter, and so his productivity and the minutes that he gave us in Boise were really valuable.
Do you predict Corey starting for the next few games?
I mean, we practice in about 20 minutes, and I'm still not sure who. I've contemplated going with a little bit different lineup, but we have played well, and we've gotten off to much, much better starts of late. So really happy with the group that started the last couple games because, again, the whole point of changing the lineup was kind of to give us a different look and to try to come out with a little bit more firepower than what we were playing with, even though we had won, 16-1 or 15-1 or whatever we were at the time.
I know you said you had a feeling you guys were going to win the game the whole time on Tuesday. How have these guys helped you instill that belief? I mean,
we have good chemistry, we have good camaraderie, our timeouts, a lot of great verbal communication that goes on player to player and player to coach. And normally, you can tell with my body language when I'm panicked. And to be honest with you, it's one of the few close games where I didn't have any panic whatsoever. I guess if that shot would have not gone down, probably wouldn't have been a good press conference post game.
You do have a lot of options in that situation. I guess how do you decide what play you're going to run for what specific guy in a situation like that? I'm sure some of it's dictated by matchup.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's matchups. It's who's rolling on that particular night. It's a play that maybe we think they haven't seen, or a play that maybe we have a wrinkle to that they think they know, and we can hit them with a wrinkle that they've never seen before. All those type of things, I think, kind of come into play. And normally we're great coming out of timeouts, executing. Guys do a good job of listening. And, like I said, Jordan just kind of got to the wrong spot at the wrong time.
How does Cody do that? He hasn't made a three in a month. Then missed his last 15, and then the biggest shot of his season, and he hits it.
What nobody knows is, like, at halftime, we have a separate locker room in Boise, and Cody comes back, walking back, opens the door, and he says, "Coach, you got to back off Thurm. You got to build his confidence up. We need him to make a three. I know he shot an air ball, but let's encourage him to shoot the three." And, listening between that, I'm reading between the lines, too, and it's like, Coach, let me, stick with me, too. That was the way I took it, because I even told the staff, like, hey, as much as we feel like we're taking too many threes and stuff, our guys, they want their teammates to take threes, too, even when they're not making them. And so I just think that's the mental makeup of our team, believing that the next shot's always going to go down.
Is that a hard balance to strike? Because the numbers in games show that you guys are not shooting the three very well, but you're shooting more threes. Like, is that hard for you to be like, okay, do it, even though they haven't shown in games that is a strength of this year's team? Yeah,
but I think that I still keep thinking that, we're going to bust out and become a really great three-point shooting team, because I see it in practice, and people on the outside, they're not in practice, so they don't get to form an opinion that has any validity. Having said that, I do have coaching friends that watch a lot of our games, and a lot of retired coaches that are friends of mine that watch games, and they think we've lost our mind and need brain surgery to try to get better shot selection. But it's who we are, and it's kind of been who we are the last 2 years. And, the first year here, we talked a lot about shot selection and don't shoot anything outside of 2 feet, because I didn't think anybody could make a shot. Even if we built their confidence up and they were standing in the gym alone, they couldn't make shots. You needed a helmet to keep from getting hit in the head the first year with shots. But this group, we see shot after shot after shot go down in practice, and so we feel with proper shot ready, bending your knees, hands ready to catch and shoot, that we're going to knock shots down. Where we have to get better at is eliminating the bad threes that are what would be considered poor shot selection. That's what we have to eliminate. I don't know if we have to eliminate the number of threes right now, because I do think the number of threes is also why we get to the basket so well and draw free throws attempted, because people have to, even if people think that we're not a good shooting team, if you want to leave us open from three, we're going to keep shooting, and eventually we're going to make them.
Air Force playing pretty good ball of late,
yes.
Especially last night. I guess what kind of stands out about them? They always seem like they're a team that will upset a couple of teams a year just because they play so much differently.
Air Force is playing great, really great. They beat San Diego State, arguably one of the best athletic teams, longest teams in the league. Last night, they put on a clinic, an absolute offensive clinic, and I thought they put on a defensive clinic. I thought they were great. I watched every second of the game with Danielle last night, and they cut hard. They got some guys that can knock down shots. Scotty's an isolation handful. Down low, Swan can really shoot the basketball, and he's got a wide body, wide shoulders. If he gets an angle to score, he can score it. And they're really unselfish. Unselfish, well coached. They got great ball movement and incredible spacing.
Is there such thing as peaking too early? Is that a thing, or are you guys? Is it a good thing you still have something to figure out?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things that I want to get better at for sure. I mean, there's practice today. We got a lot of stuff we have to clean up and get better. And I think we're playing good basketball. I mean, it's a really hard road trip for anybody in the country. You could take any school from a Power 5 school to go play in those two environments. Not easy to do. We played good basketball our last 3 games, and now we got to try to come home and take care of business. And I will say that, like, the momentum in our community is incredible. I mean, I haven't been home, but I don't know, 25 hours or whatever it is. Everywhere I've gone, the amount of people that must watch our road games on TV is mind-boggling. And I mean, I just came from lunch. I must have had 13 or 14 people come up to me, and normally it's 1 or 2. The excitement surrounding the program right now, I can't imagine it ever getting any higher, and to the level that it's at now, even compared to a year ago, is, I mean, there's people watching games that I didn't even know knew what a basketball was.
You obviously had aspirations for this, but has it exceeded what you could have ever imagined in 4 short seasons, less than 4?
I mean, it has, because there's certain restaurants now that I'm going to have to eliminate going to eat at, just because I want to go sit with the staff and have fun and not come up and talk Boise State, Nevada, or Fresno State, Nevada.
So you're coming up on your 100th win. I want to take you back to when you accepted this job. I guess, what was it?
How many more do I need?
2?
2.
Okay.
What was it that was so appealing about this opportunity, and what did you think? Why did you think that you guys could build something here that you obviously built?
I mean, I like Doug's vision, because it had proven in the past that it had won. That it's been a program that's won games. Same things that I've always talked about, just geographically felt like it made sense for me. So I think those are probably the main reasons, and quite frankly, I mean, Doug's the first one to offer me a job. I had a lot of built-up self-motivation to prove, I called San Jose State when their job was open. I don't mind telling people. That was 30 minutes from my home, and I couldn't get the AD to return a phone call. So, like, high motivated to prove that, all the things that people said somebody coming from the pro game couldn't do. The motivation will never leave. So.